Money. It affects our everyday life. But how do we make more of it? Manage it. And make sure we make the most of our money. Welcome to Money Mindful, a podcast to teach and support you as you learn to manage your money.
Hello, beautiful human, and welcome to another episode of the Money Mindful podcast. I am your host, Meaghan J Smith. I'm a money mindset and life coach for women. I help women entrepreneurs change their money mindset so they can create the money and life that they want. Okay, welcome to the show. This is almost the last episode for 2021. What is happening? This year has just been a whirlwind for me. How's it been for you? I feel like this year has just gone so quickly and so much has changed and evolved. It's been an incredible year, and I'm also so looking forward to 2022. So one thing that has been coming up for me that I've noticed quite a bit, like one of the things that I've noticed about happy, wealthy women, and what I've noticed about my clients when they start becoming these happy, wealthy women, is that they have a vision of their future. Like they have a connection with who they're becoming. And so I really wanted to talk to you about that in this episode and help you develop your vision so you too can be a happy, wealthy woman. So now, I know that you may be thinking, that's all very well, Meaghan, but I don't know what I want to do, right? I have so many ideas. I don't know what's best for me. You know, I'm thinking about starting a business, but I'm just not sure if it's going to work out, or, you know, I want to change and do this new direction, but I also have this idea that I might do this. And the truth is, in my experience, is that we do know what we want. It's just that often the things that we want, we think are not possible because we're looking at it through the filter of who we are now and the beliefs that we have now and the way that we think now. And so we can't sort of connect with what it is that we want because it feels like a pipe dream. It feels like something that's unattainable. So I want to help you today to connect with that vision of what you want and get really honest with yourself about what it is that you want so that you can create it. So I'm not going to go over how to create that in today's session. I've got something that I can help you with that I'll let you know further on. And I mean, this is exactly what I do with my clients. I help them create the money and life that they want. So we work on all your limiting beliefs and all your money blocks, and not just money blocks, but you know, the blocks that you have about yourself and your value and what you think is possible. But it all starts with first having a clear vision of what you want. And when I say clear, it doesn't have to be, you know, every single little element planned out and you know exactly what you're doing, but it's a connection with who you are becoming. And I've had a couple of conversations just this week with a couple of my clients that they've both been in this mind-blown state. You know, they're one's just in the process of getting something started with something big that she wants to do. She's making a huge move, moving to a different area. She wants to buy a property and the housing is a lot cheaper. And for so long she's wanted to do this, but she just hadn't taken the leap because she just couldn't see that it was possible. Like there was just But really it was she just hadn't made the decision and decided, yes, I can have this, I deserve this, I can create this. And then another one of my clients who is just, oh my gosh, kicking goals with all these things that she has created recently in her life, like financial goals that she's working towards, retirement, increasing her income. And it's all to do with she had these ideas about what might be fun to do, but had never actually connected with what that might look like really made decisions about the future that she was creating and what she was doing. And once she learned how to do that and then went through the process of creating a goal that I take my clients through, and then not only that, but just handling all the limitations and obstacles and objections that we throw at ourselves in our own life, like we don't even need other people to do that, we do it to ourselves. But how quickly you can actually create the money and life that you want when you start connecting with that vision of what that looks like. So let's get into that today, because I really want to help you with this, especially at this time of year. It's December, and I'm sure you have probably seen, I don't know, on social media, or you hear people talking about, it's, New Year's resolutions. It's the end of the year. So, I think that you can do this at any time. You don't have to wait till the end of the year to plan for your future or make a vision for your future. But I think this is a beautiful time to do it. So let's get into it. Now, when we set a goal, I think often what people do is we set a goal, like a financial goal or a material goal in terms of, we set something like, I want to make 100K in my business, or I want to create a course to sell in my business, or I want to get a new car or buy a house, whatever it is, right? We think of the thing, the goal that we want to create, but sometimes what we forget is who we are becoming in the creation of the goal. And in my opinion, that is the stuff that is way, way, way more important and exciting. It's so fascinating to me because I see my clients do this all the time, and I do it myself. Set a goal where, it's a measurable goal, something specific like financial or material, but it's who you become in the process of setting the goal that is just so much more valuable. And when you finally reach the goal, it's just the cherry on top. It's like, great. I'm so glad I've reached the goal, but it's all the things that I've learned along the way that were the most valuable. So the first thing I encourage you to do is at the end of, and you can do this in whatever time period you want. Like you can do a 6-month time period or a 12-month time period. I mean, the shorter is sometimes easier to wrap your head around, but then also it can be more pressure because it's a shorter period of time. And then longer can feel like, it's so far off in the distance, feeling less connected to it, but also it can feel less pressure because you've got more time to create it. And there's really no correct time frame that you have to set. It's just whatever it is that you're creating. But what I like to ask my clients, because they work with me for 6 months, is at the end of this 6 months, who do you want to be? Right? Like what is it? Like who do they want to be as a person? And that's such an important question. Who do you want to be? Like, what do you want to create in this next 6 months? What kind of person do you want to become? And I think a great way to think about that is, what do you want to change internally? and what do you want to change externally? So to give you an example of that, I've mentioned that I've had a client who wanted to create a retirement goal. And so she wanted to have a plan for her retirement, but she also, as part of that, she wanted to become more connected with who she was and more in charge of her life and feel more empowered and in control around money. And so they're internal changes, right? Like a feeling of empowerment is something that you change internally. It's not something that an external result can get you. So it's really interesting and relevant to think about, like, how is it that you want to change internally, right? Like, do you want to become somebody who trusts themselves? Because this is a huge thing that I work with women, that so often we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust that we will do what we say we're going to do. We don't kind of believe in our capabilities, or we have like a whole lot of rubbishy thoughts clunking around in our brains about, we're not good enough we're not good enough or not capable. And often it boils down to we don't have a good relationship with ourselves. We don't trust ourselves and our wisdom and our own knowledge. And so that's something that is a beautiful thing that you can change internally. That's something that you might want to work on when you're working on a goal. And so when you have an idea of who do you want to be, what do you want to change internally, what do you want to change externally, then you want to really imagine the person you are becoming. Like over the next 12 months, I'm just going to say 12 months just for the sake of ease of explaining this. Like over the next 12 months in 2022, imagine who you are becoming and really paint that picture. Like, are you becoming somebody who has a business? Like some of my clients, I know I say that I work with women entrepreneurs, but not all my clients are entrepreneurs. Some clients work for other people and some are in corporate, but they're wanting to start their own business, right? And that's a common goal that my clients work on. They want to change careers and start their own business. So if you are someone who's starting your own business, like imagine that person. What does she look like? Does she dress the same as you dress now? Does she dress differently? How does she show up on a day-to-day basis? How does she show up with her family? Right? How does she carry herself? What sort of things does she do? Does she exercise regularly? Or is she somebody who cooks home-cooked meals? Or is she somebody who has a what are they called? Like a delivery service of food. Like, I know that sounds really random, but it's just really paint the picture of who you want to be. Who is that person? Right? And this is where there's really no right or wrong answer, but it's really up to you to decide. And when I'm thinking about my future in terms of my business goals, I look at my desk and my office, like what does it look like? And it's really organized. And I think about what clothes I'm wearing. And I'm normally wearing some kind of animal print or white jeans or something like that. Like I'm really imagining who I am. Because when you want to create the money and life that you want, right, you need to know what that is that you're creating, because it's like not setting the GPS in your car and then ending up in Sydney when you were actually wanted to go to Brisbane. But if you don't set the GPS, how on earth would you get there, right? So it's getting really, really specific. So who are you becoming in 2022? What are you working towards? What do you want to change internally? What do you want to change externally? And you can apply this to any area of your life. It could be a business goal, it could be a personal goal, or it could be like just very holistic, your life overall. And then you can ask yourself really specific questions. Well, what results specifically do I want to create in the next 12 months? Right? And how will you know that you've achieved them? Because often people say things like, oh, I want to make more money. Well, how much more? $1? $1,000 more? $10,000 more? $100,000 more? Do you want to double your income? Like, what is it that you really want to create? And again, this is where I see the common mistake I see people do is they don't say what they want to create because they think they can't create it. And I tell you what, if you think you can't create something and you don't take action towards creating it, you definitely will not create it. But again, happy, wealthy women, they don't always know how to create what they want. And in fact, most of the time they don't know how to do it because otherwise they would have already done it. Right? When we're going for new things in our life, we never know how. We know how after the fact. But the first step is actually deciding, what do I want? Right? Who am I becoming? How will I know if I've achieved what it is that I want? Right? And you get clear on that first, and then you work out how to do it. The working out how to do it is the journey towards creating your goal, being the woman that you want to be. Okay? And then some really great questions to ask yourself is, why is this result important to me? Why do I want to start a business in 2022? Right? What's your compelling reason to do that? And that is a magical question to ask yourself, because when you really connect with why you want to do something, that gives you the juice to move forward and do it. Because if you want to do something that you've never done before, like start a business, you're not going to do it unless you're really connected to it, because doing new things is a challenge for our brain. I mean, we're stepping out of our comfort zone, right? It always is. And if you're not connected with why you're doing it, like why it's so important to you, the first obstacle you hit, you won't continue, right? Because it'll just be like, oh, it's too hard. I'm not capable. I'm not meant for this. I'm not the kind of person who can create a business, right? That's the sort of lies we tell ourselves, which is not true at all. Nobody knew how to create a business before they created a business. You learn how to do it by doing it, right? So I'm going to recap for you how you create this vision, the story of you, who you are becoming, this happy, wealthy woman, right? First thing is you ask yourself, at the end of this 12 months, who do I want to be? Okay, then you ask yourself, well, what do I want to change internally? What do I want to change externally? Okay, and then you imagine who that person is. Like, you really connect with that person and create a vivid picture, as vivid as you can, about becoming this person. So if you're somebody who wants to create a new income goal in your business, like, who do you look like as that person at that income, right? Or if you're wanting to start a business or do something different with creating multiple streams of income, like investing in property or, becoming a share investor or something like that, what does that look like? Do you still look like the woman that you are now? Like, what parts of you are still the same and what's different? Because there's going to be things that are different. You're not going to create new results in your life and be the same person that you are now. Not possible, right? When we're evolving and growing and becoming a new version of ourselves, creating the money and life we want, we change, right? Not as if there's anything wrong with us now. Nothing's wrong with us now, but it's just an evolution, right? We become the 2.0 version of ourselves. And so we want to paint that picture of, well, what does she look like? And I'm not just talking about physically, but I mean, yeah, sure, like paint that picture too. But does she dress differently? Does she have a organized desk at her office, right? Like, does she have a morning routine? What does she do? Get really clear on that. Who is that person? And then you want to ask yourself, well, what specific result do I want to create in the next 12 months? You know, like this woman, this person I'm becoming in 2022, well, what specific result do I want to create? And then how will you know if you've achieved it? Like, make it measurable. And then ask yourself, why is this result important to me? And what is my compelling reason to create this result? And that question is so important, because if you don't know what your compelling reason is, what so many people do is they give up on their goal, right? Because they're not connected to why it's important. And just finally, then you can go ahead and create the goal. And if you want help with that, I've got some good news, because I have an amazing video training that helps you create the pathway to creating the money and life you want. It's a goal setting process, and it gets your blueprint out, really. The training is all about identifying what it is that you want and then working out what you need to do, basically, like the challenges and obstacles that you're going to need to overcome and how to go about doing that. And then finally, when you're going for a really big goal, I really encourage you to get someone in your corner, get a coach, get somebody to help you. And, you know, if you've been listening to the show for a while and you've been thinking about coaching with me, because I know some of you listen to the show for ages, and because I meet you, you know, you become my clients, and then you say, yeah, I listened to the show for a year or 6 months, and then I just knew I really just had to do it. I had to work with you. And I just want to offer to you that, you know, you might currently have the belief that you don't have enough money for coaching. And I totally get it, okay? I've felt exactly the same way. Like, hello bills, hello life expenses. Like, I understand why you think this way, but I'm just really curious. Like, have you ever seen someone making a killing in the stock market, for instance, who didn't invest any money in the stock market? No, of course not. It's not possible, right? And it's the same with our lives. Like, we don't create the money and life we want without investing in creating it, right? And I just want to offer, like, you can continue to think that you don't have enough money to invest in creating the money and life that you want, or you could decide that you are worth investing in, right? That choice is up to you. So I would love to invite you to work with me. And the only way at the moment, the only pathway into working with me at the moment is by booking a consultation with me. Now, that's totally free. It's spending 1 hour with me, but the purpose of the consultation is because you want to work with me, right? Like, that's why you're signing up to the consultation. But we get a chance to meet each other, and I also dive really deep with you on what it is that you actually want to create, and we work out if we're a good fit. Because, you know, of course, once I talk to you, if I find out you're not a good fit for my program, we want to work that out before we start working together, and we want to meet each other. So that is the purpose of the consultation call. And in addition to that, just ending this podcast today, if you want help further with working on your goals for next year, you can access the free training that I've done. It's a free 3-day training, And you can get that by simply going to the show notes of this episode, or if you've got a pen and paper, I'll tell you the exact URL. It's courses.meaghanjsmith.com/money and life. So that's a 3-day video training that is quite there's quite a lot in it for you to go through and really help you map out your goal and what you need to do to actually achieve it, like how you go about creating it. It's an incredible resource. I use a version of this with my paying clients. It's something that I do with my paying clients. And you can have it for free. So it's courses.meaghanjsmith.com/money and life. Next week will be my final podcast for the year with you. So keep an eye out for that. Until you hear from me again, have an amazing week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Money Mindful podcast. For more info, visit moneymindful.com.au. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe. And remember, the information in this podcast is of a general nature only and does not take into account your personal circumstances or goals. Please seek professional advice for your own financial needs. Remember to have fun along the way.